So, back in 2011, Satoru Iwata, the then Nintendo CEO, was asked about the likelihood of Nintendo bringing its properties and games to mobile. The quote that he gave at the time was, "This is absolutely not under consideration. If we did this, Nintendo would cease to be Nintendo." Well, it seems that 5 years makes quite a lot of difference, because Shigeru Miyamoto himself appeared on stage at the Apple conference last night to reveal Super Mario Run, an autorunner that's going to be appearing on Apple mobile devices this December. Though we maybe didn't expect the announcement to be this dramatic with Miyamoto himself taking to the stage, we did kind of see this coming, because it was stated a while back that there'd be 4 or 5 Nintendo games coming to iOS and potentially other mobile devices as well in the future. We've already had Pokemon Go, and even though Niantic was the developer, and technically speaking Pokemon is kind of a third-party thing, not an actual Nintendo product, even though Nintendo does kind of own the company, it's all a bit hazy. But we were waiting for something either Mario flavoured or Zelda flavoured, and here it is. And the form it's taken is a classic autorunner in the style of something like Cannibal, or, to my eyes at least, Rayman Jungle Run, which I think looks like the fairest comparison. To summarise how you actually play the game based on what they described last night, it's an autorunner you control with one hand. So Mario will run from left to right, you tap the screen to jump, a longer tap will mean that Mario jumps a bit higher, you'll get some modifiers thrown in, so if Mario hits a special block he will change direction, which is precisely how it works in the Rayman mobile series, and gets rid of the need to have a control on screen. You don't have to have that left or right D-pad, you can just let him bounce off of stuff basically and flip reverse, which means you can play it while, as Miyamoto himself said, you're on a subway or you're eating a burger or something like that. They've also added a new Toad Rally mode, which is essentially you chasing your opponent's ghosts through the level. So it's not real-time multiplayer, it's that stuff that we're used to from Real Racing 3 and other games which have a sort of, not asynchronous, but it's a way of seeing what the other person has done, and you can try and beat their high scores and their times. Though in this one it's a mixture of trying to impress Toads or Mrs. Toad so that she'll rate you not only on the number of coins you collect and the time you've taken, but also how many dangerous or exciting moves you've done. So there's an extra wrinkle thrown in there. Now, there'll be a lot of people crying out that, oh god no, they've ruined Mario, he's coming onto mobiles, this is going to be the worst thing. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that they're trying to maintain some of their design philosophy, by the sounds of it anyway, because for one, it's going to be a premium game. They have said it's going to be launched at a set price. It will not be free to play, which is interesting, and some have already said suicidal given the nature of the mobile marketplace. However, it's Mario. It's Mario on the phone. You can do with the thing and the pipes on the. There's no one who's not gonna download this. This is a slam dunk for Nintendo, no matter which way it goes. The question is how much money they can make from it, or how successful it can be, because the name recognition alone will cause everybody to download it on day one. The thing with Pokemon Go is that the name brand attached to it made everybody immediately download, and now we're hearing reports that while it's obviously still profitable, people are starting to drop away from it. The question is how big a tail the game has, and how much money can be squeezed out of players later on in the game's lifespan, so either through downloading extra level packs or buying perks or any of the other little mobile-friendly monetization systems that have been cooked up over the past 6 or 7 years. I suppose one of the big things we should be asking ourselves about this, however, is whether we should be excited or whether we should indulge our cynicism and say that this is the death of Nintendo and the death of Mario, and, like the quote I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Nintendo has stopped being Nintendo, now it's come onto mobile. And of course, I don't really think that's true, and I don't really think anyone else would think it's true either. The footage, and there's only about 60 seconds of it, looks kind of fantastic. In terms of capturing the feel of Mario, the way that he moves and the jumps and the sprites that are on screen, it looks authentic. It kind of feels like Mario. Now, obviously we haven't been able to play it yet, so we can only guess at this point, but I am quietly optimistic about this one. Much more than I thought I would be before I saw the footage and before I saw the reveal, and to some degree before I heard it was going to be premium and not pure free to play. Now, I'm no Nintendo expert. There are people far wiser than me who will probably make a better analysis of the situation, but I did play through all the SNES era Nintendo games a little bit later in my life, and there is a design philosophy at work there. Those levels are crafted when you're playing something like Super Mario World or Yoshi's Island even, or any of those kind of classic Nintendo platformers. And if they can bring even a little bit of that to mobile, even if it's slightly simplified or stripped down for the one-finger control system, this is going to be genuinely exciting. I almost just didn't expect to be this enthused about it. And it's easy to get hyped up about stuff, and we should always be a bit careful about that kind of thing. But the early impressions, I've got to say, are quite strong. Now we're going to have to wait till the game actually comes out, of course, before we can pass any serious judgment on the thing, and we'll be covering it in intense, scrutinous detail over the next couple of months until it goes live. But do stay tuned to pocketgamer.co.uk for all the news about it, and AppSpy's YouTube channel for all the latest info about Super Mario Run and any other mobile games you care to think of. Thank you for watching, fingers crossed, this is going to be a good one.